Nectar of the gods. So today I might have to go to I might have to run to the store before I do anything today. I might have to get celery seeds to make corn relish. I'm trying to find a recipe that doesn't call for celery seeds. I have celery salt. No, everything calls for celery seeds. Because I have everything else, but oh well. So hello, whoever's popping in. Hey, Iron Fire Horse. Good morning. Yeah, I'm on a little early. I've been up since 6. I don't know. My brain just doesn't want to sleep in, no matter how much I try. Oh, my allergies are going crazy. I was searching my spice cupboard to see if I had dry mustard. I have dry mustard as well as mustard seeds, so I don't need to get those. But I'm going to make corn relish. We had a lot of extra corn. We got our from the corn roast last night. We got the corn donated by a local farm, Abbey Hill Farms, and for the corn roast, and we had hot dogs and sausages and chips and popcorn and a bouncy castle and some games for the kids and stuff like that. Um, and some music, some live music from some uh, parishioners at our church who just played music. That wasn't church music, but it was just stuff. I've been up for 2 days. My blind cat disappeared. Oh my god, that's awful. Yeah, so it was a community outreach thing, so everything was free. So, um, and it was advertised around the area. Like flyers were handed out to all the houses in the area. Um, but we had a lot more corn given to us than people. So at the end, we gave out a lot of corn to people. Like, hey, here's some cooked corn. Please take it. And then there was still some more, and even some corn that hadn't been shucked yet. We stopped shucking for a bit because we're like, well, this is a lot of corn. Anyways, I got 2 grocery bags of corn that I'm going to make corn relish with. My husband loves corn relish. I have not made it this year. I didn't make it I made it 2 years ago, and we've just finished or just opened up the last jar of that. But I was hoping to try and start that this morning before lunch. But I have no celery seeds. I just looked at all the ingredients. I'm like, oh, I have celery salt, but not celery seeds. Um, we eat corn. Well, it's one of the vegetables my family likes. Hi, Ninja Master. Um, we eat corn on the cob in season, and this stuff was super sweet. Like this stuff was like I don't even know. Even you didn't even need to cook it. It was so sweet. So um, my husband likes corn relish. Yes, celery seeds. So all the recipes I've googled so far need celery seeds, and I'm like, I have. If you've seen my channel and you've seen me show my spice cupboard, I have a very spice cupboard. use often. Yeah, so I might have to go to the store and pick up some celery seeds, but that's only going to cost like pennies because I go to Bulk Barn. If it costs $1 of getting a huge scoop, hey, that's a great deal, right? Make sure I'm on Do Not Disturb so I don't get any beeps. Yay! But yeah, the ingredients are all things I have, and where is it? It's from the Bernardin West website. Um, 2 cups of vinegar, 2/3 cups sugar, teaspoon of salt, 4 cups of corn, um, 2 cups mixed red and green peppers. I'm just going to use red because I don't have any green peppers, and we're not big on green peppers anyway. So, um, 3/4 cups diced celery, half a cup of chopped onion, a tablespoon of dry mustard, a teaspoon of celery seeds, a teaspoon of ground. So I have all those things, and enough to double or triple it because I have lots of corn too. I buy the quinoa pasta there, and it's the only pasta I use. Cool. Whereabouts are you? Because if you have Bulk Barn, that means you're in Canada. I'm in Canada, the west end suburb of Ottawa, Ontario. Bulk Barn is awesome, and now you can bring your own them, and um, you get your stuff, and then they weigh them again, so you only pay for the berry. Cool. My daughter has a friend, not in Barrie, just out of Barrie, in Port Hope, I think it is. So that is awesome. I've never been to Barrie. I've been to Brantford because my daughter goes to short-term placements at W. Ross. Um, but once every couple months they hunt. They do and all that stuff there. But I've heard Barrie is quite nice. Wasn't Collingwood here for 35 years? Okay, I've heard of Collingwood. I've never been there either. But I know like a few people from our church have family members in Collingwood and stuff. Because the church that I go to is a Christian Reformed church, and so there's a large Dutch community down there. Not everybody that goes to Christian Reformed church is Dutch, but a large percentage of them are. So it's they have. We were just talking about that yesterday at the corn roast. That there was one of the ladies there. Their son was moving near Collingwood, and because he got a job at a school near there. What's buffering for you? It's not buffering here. Oh, is that better? Do you do canning or anything? A lot of us have been pushed out of Hollywood. Too expensive, tons of homelessness. Wow. Um. Oh shoot. Where's there's a Christian school. I'm trying to think where my friend's son just rented a townhouse. They're renting a townhouse. They for $1,850 renting a townhouse. No garden anymore. Yeah, I have a small garden, as well as I'm the president of the Canada South Community Garden, and I purchased 2 boxes there. Like we'll rent them for the season, and I find I'm growing lots of stuff in like a 4x8 box. So lots of tomatoes and cucumbers. I have some flat beans, and I have some Asian vegetables. I just planted them from seed, and I have some hot peppers. I've had lots of lettuce and basil, cilantro, onions. I don't think my garlic came up though, but I was just trying to plant them from garlic cloves. I live on my own. Yeah, well, yes, unfortunately, ODSP does not. Well, you're better off if you can get ODSP. Is that you get more than being just on Ontario Works. And unfortunately, last place I was geared to income, and it was a nightmare. See, we have some places here rent geared to income. It takes a while to get on the waiting list. What they call the community guard. They put in what they call, and we weren't allowed to help it. Was fence. Person rents a box, and in our area, which is the Canada Food Cupboard, and that's what people have done is that they've donated either their excess or purposely planted a few extra like plants to donate vegetables to help those in need. And then there's been um, one or two of the boxes have been rented but paid for by the church for the local youth center that they're growing some stuff. They're learning about vegetables and all that. The only person I saw filled the vegetables. um, yeah, but you should look in your area. There might be some local community gardens. They're popping up all over the place. Um, and it's great to have some fresh. Like it's cheap to grow from seed. Um, but it takes time, but having fresh veggies to add to your diet if you're on a low budget is really good to do. I won't take donations. I used to be the coordinator of Overbite Outreach. Not Overbite, okay. Good morning, CR. How's it going? Well, that's cool. Yeah, being on disability is hard. The only good thing, like I don't know what your disability is and how limiting it is. Because I know with having disability, it's hard to get employment in whatever your field of employment you want to be into. But also, depending on your disability, it might be physically impossible for you to work even a part-time job, or you could only work 1 day a week type of thing, depending on your health and everything like that too. Um, by no disability, the first $200 of income is exempt, so you can kind of help a little bit, but it was broke back in 2 places. Okay, you're. Oh, I'm a DSW too. That's actually I have my developmental service worker as well as my personal support worker diploma, and I worked in independent living environment for like 8 years as a physical care attendant for adults with physical disabilities. They rented their own apartment in a regular apartment building. Their some of the apartments were rent geared to income, some weren't. They were the regular rent, and they had a pager. This was a little bit before cell phones were that popular, but we had a pager that book with bookings that people would book times to for um, for help if they needed help to get up in the morning, go down at night, showers, meals, whatever they needed, type thing. And it ranged from people who were quadriplegic to those who um, had MS and just needed some help lifting heavy things and changing light bulbs. Like we literally had one client that we saw her about 4 times a year, usually to change light bulbs or to get a lasagna pan out of the oven because she couldn't carry it. It was too heavy, and her stability wasn't good for holding big things out of the oven. If it was able to be held with one hand, she could, because then she could her cane or walk her to stabilize her, but with 2 hands she couldn't. So it was not bad. And, and it would be, and if you, did you hurt your back afterwards? Support infant living development. Awesome. Yeah. Well, the one where I worked was not for developmental. It was just for physical. Um, as they had to have mental competency to be able to tell us what meds they need. Like we had a lot of we had about 4 clients that were quadriplegic, but they had meds, so we could dish out the meds, and we had to show them, and they had to agree that this was, even though it's the prescription that's on the bottle, but they were in charge of controlling their meds. We just signed off that we had given it to them, but we weren't in charge of going down there at 2 o'clock, at 10 o'clock. They were the ones that had to book us. Like, so it was independent. It was they were in control. Because some meds were not like on the dot, but take a couple times a day. Outreach for 6. Awesome. Did you get injured before you were a DSW or afterwards? Because I was gonna say some of those jobs you could do with a broken back, and that what, like, if it's the outreach, it could be like on the phone or on the computer and stuff like that. Yeah, there's just not enough housing out there that is affordable. And we're not even talking about rent geared income housing. We're just talking about affordable housing for the average person's income. Like around Toronto and area, as I said, my friend, her son was renting a townhouse, and it's near Vaughan. That's not in Vaughan, but it's another town about 20 minutes away from Vaughan, and the cheap is $1,800 for a small townhouse, and that's expensive. Like, because where I live, you can get a townhouse, a large townhouse, for 1,600, maybe 1,800, like, and then and but you can get a small townhouse for 1,200, or sometimes even less. I'm just fixing this button here. Keeps on popping open. picture around the whole show with the help of volunteers. Awesome. That is awesome. Well, maybe in your new area, you could see what type of organizations are out there too that you could maybe apply for and work at and or volunteer or whatever. But also with is to like kind of I'm so big on trying to maximize what you can do with the money that you have type thing, because I know in places like where I live, rent is crazy. In Toronto area, it's beyond crazy. Barrie is the third most expensive city. Rent in Canada really isn't on there because Barrie is. Wow, I would have thought Vancouver. Like I would have thought Vancouver, Toronto, Vancouver, Victoria, Vancouver, Victoria, Montreal. Ottawa is pretty expensive, but there are some pockets where it's cheaper, and we do have at least some low income housing and some rent geared to income. I got wrecked in a head on collision with a drunk. Ouch. That sucks. Was was there ability to sue them to pay for um, help you pay for your expenses, because it does limit your ability to work for periods of time, your ability to have a fulfilled life too. I mean, it's good that you've been working, but like I mean, I know people. I have a friend of mine who two friends. One who's been in a car accident that has had more health issues years later from the car accident than she did initially. She started a bit, and then it just kind of progressed. And now she has other things that they think are related to it. And one that had another friend who was in a car accident, had a concussion, and has had lasting effects from the concussion, that she's not, her brain is not the same as it was before the accident. And since then, it's been much harder for her to concentrate and um, stay focused. Also, her health itself, like she gets more headaches and everything like that. Master budgeting, awesome. I, lo- I love you already. I thought it was bad when I got ran over. Toronto, Vancouver, then Barrie. Really? Wow. It was in the Star and local. Ouch. Well, Ottawa's expensive, but not compared to Toronto. Toronto is just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. I'm old enough to be around 1992, and the laws for insurance changed. No fault insurance, and no one got a die. Law had to be written. Ouch. I I was in 1992. I was in grade 12. Actually, I graduated in 93. So, but see, I don't drive. Um, so I've never had my license. I've had my 365 back in the day, but um, never got my actual license. That's on my goals for the future, to get my license, because we're as a family limited to metropolitan areas or places where we fly or travel to. I had to go under the go under. Ouch. But you could probably still sue after the fact, maybe. Personally, I just my legs, and I had a rollerblade on the protection. Trick wasn't going that well. Ouch. CR, that's awful, too. Had the accent before or after? I've been lucky, knock on wood. Well, knock on wood. I have never been in accident, a vehicle accident, or anything. I watched the recent video of your. Well, well, then you are much. Uh, you are the type. You are not the type of people that that video was targeted towards. It's targeted. So I don't know. I think just the where I'm living, it's so Canada is a more affluent area of Ottawa, and so the people that are around me, my neighbors and stuff, things are like prices keep on going high. You could probably do a much better video on 20 more things to add on to my 20 things on how to budget. Those were kind of like broader terms for those who've never really had to budget before or needed to. But yeah, I've done some really tight, you know, uh, tight wad. Uh, Remember the tight wad Gazette? I love that. My friend Pat that I do groceries with, she has, I think, all three Tightwad Gazette books. I've had to have wood. See, we where we live, we have good public transportation. Um, Not as good as Toronto, but it's decent, and we get around. I don't drive. My husband, he's legally blind, so he doesn't drive. Um, so we take the bus, or take Uber, or Lyft now. Um, we travel places by train, by plane, by bus, and that's just But our when we go to travel, I would like to get my license so that at some point when we're maybe a bit older, we can like rent an RV and like drive across Canada. Because flying across Canada is expensive, and there's just so much beautiful scenery in Canada, so in the States too. But I don't. I really don't want to go to the States until somebody's out of office. The woman who took me out ran in the house and got showered and had another drink. Shut up. Wow, that is awful. Yes, and if you tried to sue personally versus just the accidental, like the car insurance one, she probably would have enough money to get really good lawyers and uh, see. Sometimes the laws are there for those who obey the law, but for those who break the law, it's situations like that and instances like that that you find where the cracks are in the law. that there's no justice. Ugh, that's awful. I am surprised that even though it was her fault and there was no fault insurance, that just as a human being, she wouldn't give you a token amount or offer to pay for, you know, I see that's the thing in Canada. It's not really paying for hospital bills because we don't really have the hospital bills, but the extra bit or any type of. Did she ever make an act of feeling sorry for hitting you, even though the law didn't charge her? Like, with my buses back, I'm not allowed to ride buses, subways, horses, or bikes. Oh, because it's bumpy? What about cars? Excuse me. Oh, that sucks. Did they have to try and fuse your back together with like metal rods and stuff? Thank you, CR. A couple of. Yeah, because the more times that they have to go in for surgery, the more chances of scar tissue and more chances of them nicking stuff. Because if you have scar tissue from a previous surgery, it's like pushed like nerves or whatever in different ways, and they don't know it until they cut in. And yeah, it's the same with, like, for example, in my family for eye surgeries and stuff. Each time that they go in to do a procedure or whatever, it's leaving some scar tissue, which it and of itself can cause more sight problems and stuff. I know. I'm not happy. The the only difference is that at least with Ford, it's only provincial stuff and not federal stuff for the whole country. And like, I don't know. I do not know what Ontario was smoking or drinking during the election. Yes, grab a coffee. I hope not, because that will just suck for Kim. That is why, well, since Trump has been in office with Canada, what I am noticing just from my little part of the world that I participate in is usually foods and stuff. I've been noticing some things have been increased, not a lot of things, but certain things, and I'm trying to my best with my purchasing power to purchase stuff made in Canada to try and support people who work here and live here, or try to purchase stuff that might have a parent company of in the states, but that is made here, most or has a plant here that makes it. So, for example, um, uh, some of the, uh, for example, Hellman's mayonnaise. The company is American, but Hellman's mayonnaise is made in a plant near Toronto area. The stuff that's sold in Canada is made here in Canada versus the stuff that's sold in the States is made in the States. So I can't do a lot because, but I do my best and save money that way. and use my money by supporting Canada. Wow. Healthcare is a first because I'm on ODSP and live in your income. Wow. That's awful. Um, well, with medical care, like you're not paying it out of your pocket. Like it's better than the states. Like that's all I can say. It's not perfect, but like in the states, if you had the same type of accident in the states, you wouldn't be able to get the rehabilitation therapy, which I'm sure you had after your accident, or the cars are way different than they. Okay, and you could. Oh, what was I saying? You could get your prescriptions and stuff covered through ODSP, don't you? Berry Hospital is run by conservatives. Okay. But what about your like you get your medicines and on ODSP it's covered, and whatever isn't covered, I think you can apply for Trillium. Um, but all of your any type of surgeries or stuff like that those type of things are covered. We just have a little bit more wait times, which unfortunately sucks. But it's better than if you lived more up north, where there's even less hospitals and less services that they have to fly it down to get it done. Okay. Definitely. Yeah, but I'm just like, the people who voted him in, I don't understand why. Welcome back, Sierra. Yeah, are you guys having a municipal election too? We just got notice of it. And I'm like, yay, didn't we just vote? Why they couldn't get them all, like, done at the same time? So, Iron Fire Horse, you need to upload some more videos. I just looking. Your last video was 8 months ago. Dar lost her job here in Canada because of Trump. Shame, because it was a good job and she was very good at. Well, honestly, changes are very difficult, and she's going downhill terribly. What type of job did she have? Um, and how was it directly related to Trump that she lost her job up here? Yeah, I have a few friends who have kids with autism, and change is difficult for sure. Um, actually, change is difficult with everybody. Change change is difficult for me. Um, but yes, it's. I'm just curious what type of job she had that was directly related to Trump. That was that she lost her job because he was in power. Well, depending on what she was really good at, she could try and find another job similar elsewhere, or can use those skills that she's good at that can be transferred over elsewhere. I'm personally looking at trying to see if we were in the States, there are a few, and I know a few people that um, in Canada that have found some online work that they could do from home, but it's very specialized skills, like like a medical transcription person or something like that. I'm personally just trying to look for some online work that is legit, and that can work for Canadians versus ones that are only for Americans or that are scams. Just to kind of do something to have a little bit of extra income. Just because I'm a stay at home mom because of my kids and different health issues of my kids. And every time, like I've contemplated going back to work, but not having a car is a issue because where the group homes and stuff that are in my area are not where the bus goes, or they're at the other end of the city. Like it's going to take me an hour or more to get there by bus, which just would not. And I'd be working 8 or 10 hours a day and split shifts because before where I was working, I worked the overnight shifts. And why doesn't ODSP cover the medicines you're prescribed? That's what I understand. And if it's not covered, you can get it covered through the Trillium Grant. A friend of mine, her husband is on ODSP, and his meds, whatever he doesn't get covered by ODSP, gets covered by the Trillium Grant. I think the first, I think the first 500 might be, you know, is your out of pocket, but the rest is covered. And he's on different meds for stuff. Heart attack last September. My doctor sent me by ambulance. Even check me out because I smoked. What? That's wrong. My doctor has been told by the cardiologist not to send people. Why? Can't you go to a different hospital? And they should still be treating you. Heck, my mom had cancer and she was smoking cigarettes waiting for her chemo treatment. Instead of, oh, it's which. Yes. Um, but you could get a medical marijuana card and get the stuff. I think I don't know about getting it covered. I know my friend who doesn't have insurance and stuff. She has to pay for it herself, but she orders it online. The one for pain med, not for. So it's THB. I'm awful with the letters. Hello, scrumptious model trains. How's it going? Yes, it is. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I've been up since 5, and it was dark out, so I just realized that the sun was out. I'm like, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, I have heard great with cannabis used for pain meds and stuff like that. I know a few people who have used it for medical reasons. It's worked better than uh, prescription for, and it has less harmful side effects. Not that I necessarily recommend everybody just smoke it all the time because it does do some stuff, especially when you're younger, on your brain. There's been studies that kind of like rewires things, but I do not see it as an issue on a lot of things. That works better than opiates. That oh really? Um, Fibromyalgia, and it works for their pain better than the meds that they were prescribed. I don't know what meds they were prescribed. One of my friends has this condition where her body, when you push your shoulder back, it has a natural resistance. Her body just doesn't see the resistance, and she tends to be overstretches or over pulls muscles and stuff like that on top of other things that she has. An autoimmune disease too, that she sometimes is in constant pain. Real studies that prove that does damage to kids. Those laws weren't so close extreme against kids. It's more of there's studies that show of it um, rewiring the brain. There was somebody that was like a legit study for under 21, because your brain's not fully wired until then. They're just going to have to go to the other street. So true, but that doesn't. So kids who do need it for medical reasons, like I know a few kids who get this CB oil, the cannabis oil from pain med, um, for to treat epilepsy or um, something else. It's harder to prescribe it to get a doctor to prescribe it for a child, but it is possible. So I was ruining my back working pizza. Anyways, I should have quit my job long before I did. True. Um, but well, you liked getting a paycheck and actually having an income. fair enough. Hey, I'm not against it. I actually think if it's legal, there's less chance of bad things happening, and you don't really see people who do smoke it go on a rampage. You see people who drink lots and get drunk and go and kill people, get angry and kill. You see people who are on other drugs and go all crazy and go kill people. People who smoke a lot, like I know a few stoners that are just like complete stoners. If anything, they might make a bad decision and try and steal some chips from a corner store. That's about the extent of their crimes. And so, like, mostly they just get paranoid. Yes, very true. Yeah, well, I say with my kids, I don't want them to try it, um, or any, like, I don't want them drinking to drink. I said when they turn 18, I will take them over to Hull and get them their first drink. When they turn 19, I'll get them their first drink in Ontario. You have visited? No. Um, I haven't been to the Hershey factory the um, since I did my placement for DSW at the Smith Falls Institution when it was still running, and it was slowly uh, closing and being the clients were being dished out to the local communities into group homes. But yeah, I haven't been to Smith Falls um, since then. We used to go because I had placement there for like half a year. Went there every day um, with the school bus that went there from our Algonquin, and not every day. Went there 3 days a week because 2 days was classes, and we used to stop at the Hershey factory on the Friday and get the broken up chocolate bars. They have a tour open now. No free samples. It's fun learning the history. Cool. Black market it could be tainted. Very true. Very true. And that's always the case, you know. And kids, this is the thing. I can try and tell my teens not to do it, but they'll do what they're going to do. I tell them that it's not good for them, that they should try other things. Um, but I can't tie them up and lock them in their room. Apparently, that's against the law. So they're going to do what they're going to do. Now, I hopefully throughout the past 17, 16, 17 years on both my girls that I've taught them enough to how to think for themselves and make good decisions. And if you ever are going to try something, to make sure you're surrounded by people you trust. And that's the major thing, is that you have to trust the people, because when you are compromised, whether it's from drinking or alcohol or smoking or anything like that, you're you're not making the best decisions because your brain is compromised, whether you believe it or not. And being around people you trust is the most important thing. Because if you're trying it at a party and you don't know everybody at the party, somebody out there is going to try and take advantage of it. So, and you don't need, what was that song? You don't need to drink or smoke to have fun. And you don't. And those things you have to do, you do have to do it responsibly. Like, we just came back from vacation, all inclusive. So there's free alcohol all the time. I drank responsibly. No point did I drink to get drunk. You know? Canopy growth tweed. Have not so great medication in there. Okay. See, I don't know. I'm hoping to. You can get you can. I think from what the new law said, you can grow up to, I think, 5 plants for your own personal consumption. But in our community garden, we also had to put that in the stipulation that we weren't allowed to grow pot in your garden plot because it's, since it's a community garden and it's not fenced in and stuff, somebody else could take it. And so it's not, that's the one thing you're not allowed to, and you're not allowed to grow anything that's illegal to be grown in Canada. There, if you want to grow it, you can grow it at your house. Yes, Smith Falls was, once the once the institution in Smith Falls closed down in the late 90s, early 2000s, because it took them years to get to, and then the Hershey factory closed down in the early 2000s. That town, those were the two major industries there. At least they've now have another industry. With greens and browns, but not that kind of green, though. Just 4. Okay, 4. That's why I said I think 5, but thanks for correcting me. You're a stock investor. How did you uh how did you go into that uh stock? Well, no, it's not signed. So in our contract, we have a contract that all the members of the community garden sign that, you know, their plants aren't supposed to inhibit other people's boxes because there's like 4 feet between them. So, for example, last year a couple of the people planted too many pumpkin plants and they went and invaded other people's boxes. We had to remove them from their boxes. They were at least allowed to grow on the ground that wasn't harboring other boxes. That we said, okay, if you're going to plant cucumbers or things like vines, you should only plant one, because if planting more than one, it's just going to take over other people's boxes and you have a 4x8 spot. But also has like there of, you know, anything illegal or drugs or whatever. What do you mean their stuff is radiated? And why is it radiated versus other people's stuff? fit for patients, but you're fair enough. I mean, each person has their own opinions too. Also, like what I think is environmentally friendly, and what you think is environmentally friendly. Both can be environmentally friendly, but they can be different too. So, unethical. I don't know enough on any of the subject to make informed decision or informed judgment on it. So I have no idea. They made it, to kill all the germs, the mold, etc. Oh, why? Well, iron, that there are companies that can supply that can grow their own if it's the choice. I've been able to find it doesn't. But why radiate? I guess is that instead of using like pesticides and stuff? I'm sorry that I have to sleep. CM is calling me. Well, you have a wonderful day, CR. Thanks for popping by and joining us. Oh, creative mode time. Okay, because I was like, who is CM? Brain not awake. Yes, if only I lived more in the country, I could grow more of my own food. I grow some, but I can't, and definitely not enough to live off of. But it's enough to supplement the food that I buy, so that a small portion of my food, I know what pesticides, which are none. I know it's organic. I don't have to pay the organic prices, and it tastes better. And I grew it myself, and much cheaper. Like I bought the seeds. Like most of my seeds I bought were from the dollar store. So like 4 for $1 or 3 for $1 the packs. Some were from uh, what's the store? Lowe's. And a few of them were given to us from given to the church. There was a whole bunch of seeds from I think it was Home Hardware had a whole bunch of seeds at the end of June that were like last year's seeds, and they were going to throw them out, and somebody grabbed them and said, can I take them and give them away? So that's how I got some of a bunch of Asian vegetables and stuff like that I tried. Very cool, Iron Fire Horse. You should maybe do a video on um, your results, what you found, and stuff to inform other people. Because I mean, honestly, I I don't I don't have the time to research 99% of the stuff that I want to research. I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of research for my own family's things, health issues, as well as the different disabilities and stuff, and in my family. So, and then I'd rather when somebody says, "Oh, you should try this," well, okay, give me all the information. If you've done the research, give me all the information. I will read your stuff over and see if it's sound to makes sense to me. Like I have a couple friends that are into essential oils and for helping with different things. I don't have the time to go and do my research on what each of these essential oils are, or what, if whatever ailment I have, what would be best. I want somebody to have it done already and tell me, because honestly, I have like 18 billion things on my plate, and I have ADHD myself that is easily distractible, and I, you know, that I don't want to do one thing and then find out 6 months later that it's the wrong thing to do. But I do like being informed of things that may not be pertinent to my life right now, but might be pertinent to my life later on in the road. These cases haven't been. The tweet owns on all of them. The poor people. They have. Well, there might be, and there just should be other ways of treating it. Uh, that is true in a sense, but it's really hard to move somewhere to find work if all of your family lives there, because being away from family is even harder. And sometimes it's not physically possible. For example, people who move, they have to find first and last month's rent, as well as a security deposit, as well as moving expenses for a truck, da 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 da. So if your rent is to say $1,500, $1,500 first and last month, so that's $3,000 that you have to have saved up. Moving, we have moved a townhouse before, and paid movers to do it. That's $1,000. Well, this was $1,000 10 years ago. So let's like add 1,000. So $25, $50 reconnect fees or reservices. So if at wherever you're moving to, say you were with Dell and now you're with Rogers, there's that. So there's at least $200-300 of reconnection fees. So we're at like $4,300. And then you have the added expenses of takeout and stuff. The last and well, expenses of boxes if you have to buy boxes, because the liquor stores don't have as many boxes as they used to, and grocery stores don't have the boxes like they used to. So you have, like I say, $100 for boxes. There's 4,400. Then you have the added expenses of eating out before, like the last week of your move. Yeah, and move, and then you have the expense of trying to sell if they were owning their house, trying to sell the house because nobody's going to want to buy in that area if there's no jobs, right? So they will have to sell the house at a much lower um, cost. But you're looking at a good $4,500 just if even if you weren't having a house, just to get first and last month's rent, moving expenses, extra food, like takeout before and after the move, reconnection fees, and all that stuff. At least 4,000 or more, and that's just with a fairly reasonable rent. And so, oh, then there's security deposits too, which is usually half a month's rent. While you still have to pay rent at your other place. Okay, new legalization is really Prohibition 2.0. Other people are going to get. True. Very true. That is why, like, that is why with all this talk of it being legal and stuff, I don't recommend people getting into it until everything is kind of figured out, ironed out, what needs, because somebody's going to screw up somewhere. Well, exactly what I'm saying. You have to move. You have to find first and last month's rent. A lot of people stay in a crappy apartment or townhouse or whatever situation because finding that extra first and last month's rent, the extra reconnection fees, the extra cost for moving, even if you rent your own truck, you have to find friends that will help you move. And I'm sorry, as you get older, when you're 20 and you have to move, your friends are young and you can usually pay them off with pizza and beer. When you're in your 40s or older and you have to move, your friends are older too. They don't have as great of a back as they used to, and asking friends to help you move for pizza and beer is just not going to cut it anymore. You have to hire people. Otherwise, if you're going to try and do it with friends, it's going to take you longer, as well as you're going to get yourself injured, and then after you've actually moved, you can't even unpack because you're just too darn sore. So I have no family. Well, yeah, because, well, that's the thing is parents moved and you immigrated with you because they thought their decision to move here was a good decision, and here living was better than where they were. What it's like trying to find a place with no money. Oh, so you can even write off your rooming expenses. Well, yeah, you can usually do, but yeah, finding like I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here. Um, my mom was born here. My dad was from Bahamas. I was born in Bahamas. Moved up here when I was a baby, so like I had no say. So, um, but I am glad that I was here because in the Bahamas it's like the States. It's actually worse than the States because they don't even have. They have some hospitals, but they're not huge hospitals. So anything major like heart surgery or anything like that, you literally get flown to Miami. So you get flown to the America, which is all like huge expensive. I'm a different story. I'm not into doing anything unethical. Quit government jobs because I found out that they were paying us with the clawback money from. Yeah, I'm very happy that you are trying to do things as ethically as possible. And yeah, starting from scratch is possible. Starting from scratch is hard. I've moved at least 25 times. At least 20 of those while I was a kid, because we moved almost every 6 months, because my parents had split custody. One would have me during the week, one would have me on the weekends, but they'd switch every 6 months. So at one point, when I was living with one parent, they'd get a 2-bedroom apartment for 6 months, and then once I moved with the other parent, they would downsize to a 1-bedroom apartment to save money. Sometimes with the same organization or company, and they were able to transfer it over. But there was many times that like I went in grade 4, I went to 4 different schools in the 9 months. Well, going to be tons of constitutional challenges, but yes, there is. I agree. I should get going because I've got to get dressed. I have to go to Bulk Barn and get the celery seeds so I can start canning the corn relish. And I also have to make family lunch, breakfast lunch. I'm gonna make I picked up some fresh bread from the superstore for $1 and have a slab of bologna and cheese, as that's my hubby's favorite thing to do with fresh bread. Did my move the last time completely by myself, and that's what finished my back off. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. As we get older, our backs are not made to move ourselves. Um, we've moved ourselves the last 2 times that I've moved. I also had a baby both times, and we paid for movers. The time before that, we tried to move ourselves. Actually, 2 times before that, and we had friends, but it still didn't work out. It was like 2 or 3. It was a whole weekend affair to try and move. Wow, that would be tiring to drag it on. But I should get going though. But it's been wonderfully chatting with you. It's been great to get to know you, Iron Horse, Iron Fire Horse, and it's so neat that today in my live stream everybody was from Canada. I had CR, Scrumptious Trains and Plane, Scrumptious Train Model Trains is also from Ottawa. He's, I think, more East End of Ottawa. And then you're from Barrie, which was kind of neat. I've never had an all Canadian viewership before. So have a great day. Hopefully, I think my next video might be my update on my walking challenge this week, and or I will be having, I'm hopefully getting to edit some videos on sale for 54 cents and 24 cents. I'm like, I can't even believe that. And they weren't even due till December. Scotland, both times I couldn't find well, he never Scotland, not once but twice. Both times I couldn't find one in the entire do my dad's job. What type of job to Canada just brings in immigrants often to do stuff that they can't figure out. He definitely would have been better to have never come to Canada on his job. Ouch, that sucks. My mom also died of cancer when I was 21, and my dad died last year. He had, we believe, a heart attack at the end, but he had various times had gout and cancer, prostate, prostate cancer, and a couple of skin cancers, and a whole bunch of other health issues, diabetes as well. He had everything. That's sad. But, well, Iron Fire Horse, I hope that you do. Why don't you do some videos? I noticed on your channel you don't have anything new since 8 months ago. I think if you did a video of even your your opinions on cannabis and stuff, I think it would be a very well informed video that people would watch. And I do hope that you catch me next time I'm live. I do enjoy conversing with people, especially people who are in Canada. It's nice. So you have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.